It's been a long ass day already. What's up? What's going on? How y'all doing? It's your girl Irene, motherfucking best queen, back at you with another episode of the Queendomme, where we talk about life, love, sex, and everything in between, with a heavy focus on BDSM and the BIPOC community. What's up, y'all? Happy motherfucking Tuesday. Y'all know my favorite saying. Happy if I can get it the fuck out. Happy Taco Tequila Titty Tuesday. If you buy a girl some tacos and tequila, she just like may show you her titties. I ain't making no promises though, so don't get mad at me if she don't. What's up? Whether you're watching the replay or you watching us live, I thank you so much. Uh, Make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Come in here and chop it up with us every other fucking Tuesday. All right, y'all. Today we are talking about sexual freedom, sexual health and education field for over 15 years now. Freedom has been um and kinks just um reason. I swear to God, this Wi-Fi is gonna drive me up a wall. But a lot of times, the reason people don't tap into their sexual freedom is because they are afraid of what thing, afraid can be. It sucks because it's like, why about what somebody else has to say about what you do behind closed doors? Because you ain't got to tell nobody what the fuck you doing, right? Right. So that's always been my biggest thing. Now, our guest today exemplifies sexual freedom, if I do say so myself. uh, and, the same way a lot of people probably were through a street interview that he did, and talk your shit, damn it, talk, being able to meet this person about some amazing topics and subjects. I okay, are we good? Let me go ahead and bring up. All right, let's see.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, there we go. Okay. Hold on. Life is life, and everybody. How are you? How's everybody feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. This Wi-Fi over here, I think I don't know if it's for both of us or if it's just me, because I know I am not able.
Well, it life is life, and I think my connection is good, but I'm gonna start off saying hello, everybody. Today has been a trying day. I was traveling today, and as I'm driving southbound, I witnessed a car accident. A guy that was pulling a boat, he pulled from the left lane to the right lane abruptly, and the lady behind him ended up hitting the boat. The passenger side of her
Oh
car was
no.
crushed. And so when I saw the accident, I stopped like maybe 500 feet from where the accident happened. I run back. She's on the northbound side. I run back, and the car is smoking. So we pull her out the car. Actually, well, I pulled her out the car, and some of the other people helped. They were a bunch of elderly people, so they physically weren't capable, but they were there. They called the police. They made sure she was, able to talk, and we were able to get her things and get her away from the car. The good thing is she's alive, she's well. The car did not catch fire, but it was smoking, and it was just the safest thing to do. So that happened, and then I'm like, oh, I need to take it. Now she bled all over my clothes. I had glass all over my upper body, and so I had to throw away my pants that I was wearing, my shirt. I just finished taking a shower, Planet Fitness. Like it changed my entire day as far as what I
Hmm.
had planned. But it was a necessary thing. So I'm happy that she made it to the hospital. I'm happy that her family was able to come support her, and she is fine. I'll figure out how she physically is once I get off this stream. But so life is life, and you're having internet issues, and I was just having traveling issues.
Right.
Um, but sexual freedom is the topic, and I brought up what happened today just to say that life is lifing, and also the freedom to help, the freedom to make a decision, the freedom to take decisive action. It all starts with consent of self.
Mm.
You have to make a choice. And I heard what you were saying earlier. Um, and the concept that I believe in is authenticity over connection. And that's a choice. A lot of times I heard you saying people are struggling to be themselves. They're struggling to have a conversation about their pleasure. And sometimes that's a result of their choosing what they think is connection over authenticity. And
Mm.
something I heard you say is everyone is doing it. We're all doing the same things, but we're hiding it behind closed doors. And so to save face because of the social norms, excuse me, and some of the things that are taboo in our culture, people pretend they don't do these things.
Hmm.
And, I know that pleasure doesn't have a gender. Pleasure doesn't have a color. It doesn't have an ethnicity. It doesn't have a culture. Um, because we can derive pleasure from water. We can derive pleasure from clapping our hands. We can derive pleasure from smelling something that's pleasant. And none of those things have to do with our sexuality. It's about allowing our senses to be triggered, to be stimulated, and enjoying the sensation. Um, and so what happens is we have a thought, then we have emotions, and then we have feelings. So thoughts are in our mind and our brain. Feelings, no, emotions are, I'll say, in our heart, and then feelings are in our body. You feel hot, you feel cold, you feel tightness in your body, you feel, warm, things like that. Emotions are happy, sad, joyous. So when we think about pleasure, and I'm just going to start right at it from the colonized heterosexual view of sexuality.
Let's go.
When we think about pleasure, and we think about erotic content that I'm 43, that we grew up watching. It's centered on a Caucasian man getting his penis fellatio, and then he turns the young lady around and has coitus as hard as he possibly can. And, pleasure is centered in that way. It's about, as soon as he ejaculates, oh, the experience is over. He doesn't check in. He doesn't ask her what she wants, how she wants to be pleased. He assumes she just wants domination. And so pleasure, the way we have seen it, the way it has been portrayed in their art, is very narrow. And it's very one-sided, and it's all about one person and their power and their dominance. And so that is what's projected. Now, behind that, what we actually see in places that have glory holes, in spaces where they're just all men, we see people being free to be themselves, and there's no
Hmm.
judgment. And the judgment, the mental judgment of it's right or wrong, then the emotional judgment of, oh, this is bad, people won't like me, and then the somatic feeling of fear, the cringing, the tightness, the heavy breath, the shortness of breath. Those three things combined, or one of those three things, or two of those three things, is what we experience. And if you feel open in your body, if you feel free in your thought, and your emotions feel positive, it's easy to be free in your pleasure. If you feel tight somatically in your body and cold and closed off, and your emotions are heavy and they're sad, but you think well about it, you still can be in a space of that you cannot be free. So those are the three things that I find our thoughts, our emotions, and our feelings keep us trapped. And when you free yourself from how you feel in relation to other people knowing what you do, how you think in relation to other people knowing what you do, your emotions around other people and how they see you, it's easy to be like, I don't care,
Right.
because you don't affect my life by your thoughts, your energy, because I do not need you. And if you were supporting me, I will find a way to make it without you. And being authentic, although it is more difficult, it's more difficult emotionally to come overcome that turmoil, but somatically, intellectually, once you get to that point, and emotionally, it's such a release to not pretend to be something, to be able to say, I like all genders, I like all people, I'm attracted to this, I'm attracted to that, this makes me happy, this doesn't make me happy, I like this, I don't like this. Being able to be clear in those ways and knowing what you want for self allows you to negotiate your pleasure with other people, and also give them the information they need to make a decision if they want to play the game with you, regardless of what the game is. The game could be kink, the game could be a conversation, the game could be, you know um, it could be coitus, it could be cuddling, hand holding, eye gazing. You have to be comfortable with yourself and be able to give voice to what you want. And as I was saying, it all starts with consent. It starts with knowing what you want and being able to give voice to that.
You dropped so much information. Oh my gosh. I love the fact. I love how you really put all of that though, because um, and specifically the point of once you get to the point of just like I don't care anymore what other people think. It's the relief behind it of being able to just, as as they say, living your truth type situation. The relief behind not wanting to live up to some idea that somebody else has about you is very free. I myself, for me, it was coming from up under what thought the vision that my parents had for me, because my parents, as far as not in how they think like politically or nothing like that, but as far as how they present themselves to the world, they present themselves pretty conservatively. Like they ain't got piercings and tattoos and all the craziness, and you know what I'm saying. So here's their wild child who likes to experiment with all types of things, and I started going down this path of sexual health education and things like that. And of course, my mother's first term, well, she was like, what are you doing? I was like, Mama, I'm not doing porn online. Like, you can calm down. It's not that, you know, and having to, get to this point, now down the line where I'm good with everything that I do. They know some of the stuff and they choose to be like, they just want to know very surface level. And I'm like, that's fine, that's totally okay. Y'all don't have to delve deep into, the world that I like to go into or whatever the case may be. But even down to, I remember at one point I was living in my grandfather's old house and it wasn't in the best neighborhood. And so my dad was talking about putting like cameras around the house and he was talking about putting some cameras inside the house. And my mom was like, I don't think we want to see what she be doing inside that house. I said, wait a minute, what you think I be doing? First off,
I
I
mean,
don't,
listen,
but You want to know the crazy part? The shit I'm into now, I hadn't even thought of at that point. It hadn't even crossed my mind. And I
Well,
was
they're probably judging you based on what they did when they were your age. You know how people
like,
do.
listen,
They,
I
they be
try
knowing
not.
the shit they did.
Listen, that's also something I try not to think about.
Oh,
Especially when
maybe that's a risk.
I came across a thing that said that kinks are hereditary. I was like, listen, y'all going a little bit too far with this now. I don't, because I don't want to know who likes the things that I don't want to know. Please don't. If
So I want to interject and say this, and I didn't know these things until I had certain conversations with my mom um, about my grandmother. Now, when I
okay.
was a child, I knew my grandmother had a friend named Mary Kane, and then she had another guy that she hung out with, and I can't remember recall his name right now, but it was another dude. And I know she was always with this lady named Mary Kane.
Mhm.
My grandfather had four girlfriends total. My grandmother, he had Miss Betty, he had Miss Jetson, and he had lady named Miss Colleen. So it wasn't a secret. We all knew of the children from their unions. We all knew what was going on. My mom had a boyfriend and a girlfriend. So some things I could visibly see, but
Mhm.
I didn't know my grandmother was into kink. I didn't know she was putting things in this dude's, bum, and she had a girlfriend. I knew my mom had a girlfriend and a boyfriend. I knew my mom did certain things, and she was a sex worker and she was sex positive. I just didn't know my grandmother was into that. I didn't know my
Mhm.
grandfather. Now again, I didn't con I didn't correlate porn and kink in different way. Now there are elements of kink in porn, voyeurism, exhibitionism, hair pulling. There's a little bit of masochism, sadism, power exchange, different things.
Right.
But my grandfather had sex toys, sex dolls, every Playboy ever, tons of porn. You know, he had handcuffs and other things, like just a lot of stuff. And as a child, I didn't understand all those things. But as an adult, I'm like, wow, y'all were into some shit, like truly into some shit. And also, yeah. And I could see how some of those things that I didn't even know they were doing, I really am into. And the ethical non-monogamy was something that I did see, and I am into that. Um, and a friend of mine likes to say that nobody's really monogamous, and even when they say they are, they're not really practicing monogamy, but they call themselves monogamous, which isn't really the same as being monogamous.
Right.
And she has a valid point. If everybody was monogamous that says they're monogamous, how so many people getting cheated on?
You know. You know.
Listen, I'm asking for myself, and I'm not even gonna pull that. I'm asking for a friend bullshit. I'm asking for
No, I
this.
mean, listen, and that's a really good question because even when I first started the podcast, I had several friends on who are poly, and we had that conversation about how people operate ethically and not ethically in the lifestyle. And things like that, and it's definitely going to be having another conversation around that on April 1st with Tayomi. She's coming back on the show to talk about that. But I've always asked that question because it's like if you genuinely feel like you can love multiple people and that's what you want out of your life, why don't you find someone who has that same who values those same things and just practice ethical non-monogamy and figure out what that looks like for you and your partners versus trying to force yourself into a box that you're not comfortable in. I mean, but once again, it's also the people are scared to be outside of the box, quote unquote, even though I feel like it's way more accepted now than it was even just a couple of years ago.
Well,
Um,
it's not just accepted. It's the so. hold on, let me slow down. I truly believe that all things are the same. They manifest differently.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that, and that's a very black and white statement, but what I mean to be more specifically is fear, cowardice, the inability to speak your truth. It's just manifesting in a different part of their life. It's all the same core issue. Um, being not being able, because who we relate to is all the part of our sexuality, not just who we have sex with, how many partners we have. That's a part of our sexuality. To be authentic and be integrity with oneself, we have to be able to be honest and say, this is what I want, this is not what I want.
Right.
And like I said, a lot of people say they're monogamous, but by action they're not. It's the same with people saying, um you know we can identify in any way that we like, but our actions really truly speak to the things that we espouse versus just what we say. But the root cause is still fear, inability to speak to one what we actually desire. Um, so I think it's a form of cowardice at its base. Um,
I can see that.
uh, so there are other elements, because with you're lying about who you want to be with, you're lying about how you want to relate, you're lying about a lot of things. Um, there's an element of financial stability that needs to be present if you have multiple partners,
Hmm.
depending on how you so depending on how you people, and everybody polys differently. However, historically people have had multiple wives. We'll just say multiple wives, multiple partners, multiple lovers. And depending on how you live, you should be able to support them. Because if you are a phallus owner and you impregnate somebody, you're responsible for the child. At minimum, if it's just the child only, you're still responsible. So there's a financial element, I believe, to ethical non-monogamy and polyamory, because there's an element of the birth of a child. There's also elements of, people could get sick, people could get hurt, and being able to be fully emotionally capable, financially capable, physically capable, those things matter. So
Hmm.
you can give yourself fully to a person, and not use ethical non-monogamy or polyamory as an excuse to be loose and just out here reckless and just without ethics and morals. But yeah, I think being able to give voice to what you want clearly, um, allows you to live in a way that feels the best for you, regardless of what that is.
I agree. But I also find that a lot of people don't genuinely know what they want. Some people are so stuck in um, what society says they should be or how they should act that I don't think they genuinely know, what would make them happy, what would bring them pleasure, or what pleasure even truly looks like to them. Um, because they're just doing what they think they are supposed to do. I got a bunch of homeboys, and I've asked the question several times, like, what's the point of you out here, you know, trying to fuck on everything that move? Like, what does that give you? What does it? Because you still sitting up here telling me, as your homegirl that you lonely, and you really don't like these bitches that you laying with. So like, what you doing it for then, homie? Like why you keep going down this road? Why you keep playing around with somebody that you genuinely don't even feel like that? Is it just to satisfy a urge? You know what I'm saying? Is it something deeper that you're looking for? But they don't know. They're just doing what they think they're supposed to do because this is how a man is, or this is how a woman is, or whatever the case may be. Um, and it's like you genuinely don't even know what you want, and you might need to sit down and figure that out before you be out here playing with people.
So I'm gonna speak to a couple of things that you talked about.
Mhm.
Discipline for self matters. And yes, it is an urge that you have. So pleasure. Because remember, when we say pleasure, sometimes we're so stuck on just sexual pleasure. All pleasures are appetites of some sort. You need to eat, you need to sleep, you want to drink, we need entertainment, we need relaxation, um, we need closeness, we need separation, we need space, we need togetherness. So these are just different needs that we have, and we want to satisfy them. So discipline matters. If you don't have the discipline to learn skills and perfect skills, it's hard to, gain employment, to then have the funds to take care of yourself, to then go to the movies, to go out on dates and do all these things. So you need a level of discipline to do those things, to obtain those things. Same thing with sexual discipline. Just because you want to have sex doesn't mean you should if you don't have the emotional space and capacity, to be honest about your sexuality. All these things are important.
Hmm.
And so people are here for, fulfilling their sexual desire. If you, I won't even say need, their sexual desire, not counting up the cost, and willing to pay the price for what they're doing. And that is a form of recklessness. And it's immaturity. So, is, people have to grow up and grow out of that and recognize that it's not the way to move. Because then you're just being an animal versus, using your actual brain and being
Hmm.
human.
Right. I definitely agree, and that's the thing that I, I've tried to communicate with some of my homeboys because it's like you're you trying to you act like you don't understand why you've been doing this to multiple women, and then now you looking stupid because she over here acting crazy. Well, you was playing with her
So
emotions.
I'm gonna interject, and now I remember to speak to this point. Some of it is ego, because the men they're around, they believe they're impressing them in many cases by saying how many women they've slept with, and it's not really a flex, but they think it is.
Hmm.
For men that have self control, for men that have their own mission, and I'm speaking of men because you asked about men. For men that have self control, that have a mission and purpose, we get off on you saying, yo, I just opened up a high yield savings account. I just figured out what I want to invest in. I am investing in this said thing. Hey, I'm traveling for this. I just read this book about this. So self development and pursuing your goals for a lot of men, or I don't like the term real men, but men that are on their mission, that is more exciting than who was the last person you had sex with. Whom is the last person you had sex with. That's exciting when you're living in the lower, when you're living in your animal, when you um are only concerned about sex and you're living in that world. And so it's a form of hubris. But when you're around men of quality, men that have a mission, whether they're trying to be a basketball player, whether they're trying to be a scientist, if they're trying to be an author, they have something purpose in their life that's bigger than them. They're not concerned about how many girls you're bagging. So as you said earlier, sometimes men think this is what they should supposed to do because this is what men do. And it's like, no, this is what the type of man you are actively choosing to be does.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I just wanted to say that because it's a choice. That's about the social programming.
Definitely, I 100% agree. So let me ask you this question because you spoke on, basically the things that you saw as far as knowing how sex positive your grandparents were, how sex positive your mom was, and things of that nature, which is a very unique, I believe, situation to be able to grow up in, which I'm pretty sure led the way for you to be as free as you are today with just you in general, how you present in the world, how you own, your pleasure, everything, the whole 9 yards. For someone, let's say someone came to you and wanted to, find that level of freedom, what would be one of the like what would be like probably like the top like three things you would tell them to, I don't know, work on, check into, like, you know what I mean? Like what steps do you think they should have to take to find that level of freedom within self?
One of the first things that came to mind, and this is where I met you, so this is ironic, and I'm actually wearing the T-shirt. Is go to Sex Down
Yes.
South. Um, like no cap,
Say it.
dead serious, because even if you're because you are curious, even if you're skeptical, you're afraid, you don't know where to start. Sex Down South is a place that is full of sex professionals, sex therapists, sexologists, people that live this lifestyle that are accredited from universities, and very highly educated in what they do from various levels. So that's one place. Just go to Sex Down South. Go to the Sexpo they're having this year. Go to the Fet. Ask questions. And that's a physical, tangible conference that you can go to. Um, Something else I would ask people when we have conversations, excuse me, is what would you think if no one said anything to you? If there was no opinion other than your own about something, what would you think? How would you feel when you're home alone and you think, if you watch this type of stuff, what comes up in your body? What comes up in your heart? And we'll say heart for emotions, we'll say body for feelings, and we'll say mind for thoughts. What comes up in your thoughts? What comes up in your heart? What comes up in your body, your feelings? And I would start there because somatically the body doesn't lie. We may misinterpret it. And so what I mean the body doesn't lie. When something stinks, you immediately know. When something tastes good, when something's hot, when something's cold. So hot or cold may be easier described as unpleasant. You have to learn what hot or cold is. But when
Hmm.
something's unpleasant, you know it's unpleasant. So whether it tastes bad and is unpleasant, whether you're too hot and you're unpleasant, whether something's tight on you, you know discomfort. Your body, you can tell, you can feel it somatically. So when you taste something, you know if it tastes good. Now, when you see something, you know when you're disgusted. You don't have to guess. Now, you may have thoughts about it, you may have emotions about it, and I'm speaking from my own experience. But when your body is aroused and excited, you like, ooh, somebody just said they want to make filet mignon, and my mouth watered because I've seen a picture of it. I never tasted it, but I've seen a picture of it. So my body's curious about that. The smell when I smelled it, the visuals when I saw the picture. Oh, my body wants that. Now I may taste it and it could be terrible. So the experience may be different, but my body was open to the thing.
Hmm.
Another way to look at it as, when I walk into a room, and I'll speak for self. Now, we have to understand that attraction is unique to each individual and to each thing that you experience. It's not universal. I love
Right.
sunflowers, but not every sunflower is pretty. I love flowers, but not every flower, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to pick it up. And I don't want to smell it. And I'm using flowers as a metaphor for people. Now, mind you, I didn't say gender, just people. And let's
Right.
keep it a stack, just people. If you like fat asses and you see a fat ass and it's twerking, you can enjoy that fat ass. Now you may recognize that fat ass is attached to a dude and be like, ew, I don't like dudes. And then your mind says that, but your body was like, that ass was fat though. Then you have some emotions, man. I don't know what's going on. I feel I feel bad. I feel weird. I feel a little sad about. I felt sad because when I saw that fat ass and I knew it was a fat ass, I liked it.
Right.
But once I recognized it was attached to a guy, I felt the ooh. Because I don't know why I liked it. So thematically, you're having an experience where you're experiencing something with your thoughts around it. Your emotions are dictated by your, thoughts over time. Now you feel weird about it. And so now you having a
Hmm.
somatic, and your somatic response to be open. You're like, ooh. There are times that when I was younger, I would see what we call a boy and get excited, but not every boy.
And I would see a girl and get excited, but not every girl. So that's what I mean when I say I love sunflowers, but not every sunflower is pretty. And I
Right.
love roses. Rose is pretty. Some roses are fucking ugly and beat up. And you're like, ooh, I don't like that. And so when we take away certain elements of the thing and we stop fixating on this over that, we can be attracted to different flowers for various reasons. And we can appreciate the flower without wanting to touch the flower. And that's what I mean about I can appreciate pecks and not want to touch them. But there's sometimes a set of packs I'm like, ooh, I do want to touch. But it's not every man, it's not every woman. And so we have to be more mindful of that because it's very nuanced. Attraction is.
Hmm.
And when I'm not thinking about what people say, I'm like, ooh, he fine. Ooh, she fine. When I think about what people say, some people may say he is fine and I may go along with it. Or they maybe say she is fine, I might go along with it. And so it's really about being yourself and being able to say, what do I actually like? What is bringing me pleasure? And when you drown out that void, your mind can actually be honest. Your heart can be honest, but your body generally, when it sees something and the ocean gets wet, your body ain't lying on you. Or if that
Listen.
flagpole is raised up, when you see something, there was stimuli and there's a reaction.
Right.
So, you know, we generally are lying to ourselves that our body is not lying.
I definitely agree with it. And I'm happy you mentioned Sex Down South because since I came from Sex Down South, I have been preaching. Everybody needs to go to Sex Down South. Everybody needs to go. Uh, but I'm happy you mentioned that because, like you said, it is very much a great space to be in, and you have access to so much that you just normally don't have that access to. Like you said, there are sex therapists, there uh, different levels of sex educators, sexologists, people who are actively in the lifestyle in kink. You have opportunity to experience so many different things. It is the perfect place to be able to see what you like, what you don't like. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to be flogged, but you kind of a little nervous about it. And you'll be, you can definitely schedule time with someone in the dungeon and be able to have that experience. And then maybe you figure out that it really ain't your vibe, which is totally fine. Um, I think that's another thing that some people are afraid of. They are afraid that they're going to like the thing, whatever the thing is. As much as they want to try it, I think the fear of liking it scares them a lot more than just saying, fuck it, let me just try it.
So it goes back to the thoughts around it and their emotions around it. And sometimes your feelings around it are shaped by your thoughts and your emotions. And that's really what it goes back to. Um, so you have to free yourself from that prison that either you put yourself in or society puts you in.
Mhm.
It just everything boils back to thoughts, emotions, feelings, and then your spirituality. Because your spirituality can influence your thoughts, it can influence your emotions, it can influence your feelings, which can influence your sexuality. But when no one is influencing you, when no one told you something was bad, you're able to be more free. So I want to go back and touch on something. Because my mother had a girlfriend and a boyfriend, I didn't see anything wrong from her perspective with dealing with a
Mhm.
boy or a girl. There was never a reason to come out of a closet and and I know that's a thing. And I say it was never a reason for me because it was never a reason to hide anything. My mom just gave me parameters. If you're having sex with somebody, they should know that you like this and you like this. But you don't have to run around saying, hey, this is who I identify as this. I identify as this. Hey, but because there was no shame around pleasure and sexuality, I never felt the need to hide it from people. I never felt the need to be like, if I like him, to act weird in public because he looks like me, or the same way I would treat a woman. if I think you're attractive, everybody else in the world could think you ugly. I'm not gonna be weird to you because they don't like you. I don't give
Right.
a f what they think. What I think and feel matters the most. And so you have to center yourself in your decisions and not other people. You center other people when you are making agreements. You center other people when not agreements. You center other people if you're making a surprise party for them. You center other people. You want to take them out and give them an experience that they want to have. But you center yourself when you're negotiating with other people. You center yourself when you're moving through the world for what you like and what you need. Um, Beyond that, it's when you're not able to live truly for yourself. Uh, it causes so many issues, and you see the lack of freedom. You see the down low community. You see the closeted community, the hiding, the unable to speak the truth, not your truth, the truth about how you're living.
I definitely agree. I I know I take it too far sometimes because I like to use it to scare people off. Uh, well, let me not say that. Not necessarily to scare people off, but I've gotten to a point, especially around my pleasure, my happiness, um, and the joy that I have in my life right now, that I do not like to leave room for somebody to come and play in my face and mess all my shit up.
Okay.
Uh, you know what I mean? So I was having a conversation with someone one time, and they were talking about one of their homegirls had told him that she ended a relationship because the sex was bad. He was like, he thought it was stupid. He was like, why would you end a relationship if the sex bad if dude taking care of everything else? I told him I don't think it's stupid at all. I said I can pay my own goddamn bills. But if I'm having bad sex, what the fuck am I? Why am I saying here? Uh, and he couldn't. He literally could not understand how I like how much of a priority my pleasure is in my relationships. I'm not like yes, I want us to be able to, have a great relationship, the household taken care of, whatever that looks like financially. I'm not really stuck on who is the breadwinner, none of that shit. Um, but the one thing I'm not gonna do is have bad sex for the rest of my life. Not, I'm not doing that. Especially not after where I'm at with my sex life right now. Hell to the fuck now. You
Well,
think I'm down?
I think that relationships have to be built off what you want and need. So I don't use the word relationship just for because most a lot of times or sometimes when we talk about relationship, we're talking about romantic and erotic relationships, the connection in that sense. So I can live with you and not have sex with you. So my relationship is predicated on, oh, I want a roommate. Oh, I want someone that I want to go on trips with. Whom I'm having sex with, my sexual relationship is going to be great. My anime relationship, my manga relationship, my blurred con relationship, my cosplay relationship is great. But my romantic relationship and sexual relationship, erotic relationship isn't always the person who I cosplay with because that's weird. My romantic partner don't duck and cosplay, but my cosplay friends cosplay. So I think that for me, I am using a older model of relating. Marriage used to be about very specific things, and how we related were about very specific things. So my friends, the cosplay, are my friends, the cosplay. My erotic connections are my erotic connections. My everybody can't be everything, and so there are people in my life for pleasure and sexual freedom. We are lovers, and when I say we're lovers, we are erotically connected. We blow each other's mind. It's amazing. And sometimes I have a romantic connection and erotic connection with the same person, but my phileo, my brotherly love and sisterly love connections, we love the same thing. So we go to blurred comedy. I have one friend. We literally go to anime conventions together. That is our thing. We go to anime conventions, and so that is what our relationship is built on. and allows it to thrive because there's other parts of her life that don't matter to me because we love the same shit. If she was terrible in bed, I wouldn't care because I'm not looking for an erotic relationship. And so for me, I that helps me have people that I can have housemates that I love, but I don't have to be having sex with you to live with you because I don't always want to mix my money with everybody I'm having sex with. So my relationships are predicated on what I want and need from that person and not just a universal, we're in a relationship, so we do all these things together. It's like, oh, we're in a relationship, but our relationship is based off erotic needs or, my housing needs. So we're gonna compound together. Where we buy groceries together. It's really, and sometimes I can have one person with for multiple things, and other times I have multiple people for one thing, and it works out a lot better because it undilutes and uncomplicates what we give to each other and the value we bring.
And I can respect that. Do I think I can live that? I ain't even I ain't even feel like to you. Actually, hey,
How is that different from your poly? Because everybody's not
oh,
everything.
I'm not going.
Oh
Listen.
no, you're not. Ooh, ooh.
Ah, I thought
Oh,
I told you that
so,
because
so
we had this
time out, time out,
conversation.
time out. So now I want to
Hmm.
challenge you on something. You said you're not
Oh
poly, right?
no, I'm not.
So I hope I don't, when I ask these questions, I don't destroy no connections you have currently. Let's speak in the past. Yeah, let's speak in the past. The past, the past.
I don't think you will, but okay.
Let's speak in the past. Because you are single until you're married when you're monogamous. So until somebody put a ring on it, you actually can do every fucking thing you want. And this is what women have said to me, and I believe this to be true as well.
I've heard
So,
that.
it's true. Until you got a ring, you are legally single unless you live in a common law state. You live together for 7 years. So, so what you're saying is you're monogamous. So you only have one person that you're going to be with, and that one person. What does that mean for you?
Um, so that means that that person is the person that I choose to spend life with. That I choose to do. I don't expect that person to be everything. Because that's very unrealistic. Hence the reason you still have your friendships and stuff like that. Because I'm not, I don't want to. I would never put that weight on somebody like, oh, you have to be my entire world. That's crazy. Because even though y'all are coming into a relationship, that person is not going to be 100% every day. You're not going to be 100% every day. Sometimes you're going to need to lean on your friends for certain types of support and connection and whatever the case may be. But there's a special place that me and this individual have, and that's us. Like first off, not one thing that is just us. I swear, you ain't fucking nobody else. I ain't fucking nobody else. You start fucking somebody else, we go,
Okay.
you know. But that, like, for me, I do see like there's a person that I want to spend the rest of my life with and do these things and have these different experiences with. Like I said, I don't expect that person to be everything because there are going to be experiences. I'm gonna be like, me and my homegirls, we're gonna go, have this, we're gonna do this, whatever the case may be. Or it's me and my cousins, or me and whatever group of friends, or however these other people fit into my life.
Okay.
Because once again, I'm not expecting this person, this individual, to be my all in all. I think where a lot of people mess up when it comes to uh, partnership and being monogamous is they're expecting this one individual to be able to be 100% of everything for them, and I just don't believe that's necessarily realistic. Hence the reason you still have to have your friendships and other connections out there, um, to make your life whole, I guess you could say. uh, but yeah.
I agree that if that's the way that you want to live and that works for you, you should do that. Personally, I can't imagine having sex with the same person every day and being satisfied because we're so dynamic that things change. Um, Also, I don't want to spend all that. I don't. I couldn't. That's not the way my brain works with pleasure. And even the way spending time with people, I need a lot of alone time. I need time with people. But it's about again making a choice and a decision and then living that out. So what I was
Mm-hmm.
going to say to you, and that's why I said a lot of people say they're monogamous, but they don't live a monogamous life. They tease a monogamous life, and then they're like, I was hurt. You didn't treat me right, and I let them get these cookies, but it was because I just didn't feel right, and it's like, okay, well, that's monogamous is one, and it's just the ethical thing to do is to say, the ethical non-monogamy, and that is like, or monogamish is, I'm only going to invest romantically into you, but I may have somebody that from time to time, I may play with them a little bit, but
Right.
I'm only going to romantically be with you in this way. But it's not. It's for me. It's not about what you do. Well, no, it is. It's about being honest about what you do and then living that out to the best of your ability. So if you choose monogamy, choose it because it's what you want. If you choose ethical non-monogamy, which is not really polyamory, but it's, hey, I'm going to go do this today. I want to play in this play today, and I'll be back tomorrow. Or polyamory. I have many people that I love, and I hold space for multiple romantic and erotic connections. However that plays out, just give voice to it, understand the pros and the cons, the cost and the price, and then just live it out. Just take away the default. I'm this by default. Well, my mama was this, so I'm this. My daddy was this, so I'm this.
Which one big thing that you hinted on is, I think, one of the biggest things that I've taken away in learning about like ethical non-monogamy and polyamory is the transparency and honesty of it all. Which a lot of times is the biggest hindrance when people claim that they want to be monogamous, but they don't know how to be transparent and honest in their communication with their partners, and are transparent and honestly with themselves a lot of times. Because, like you said, people say they are monogamous, but they don't technically practice monogamy. And a
Yeah.
lot of times it's because they aren't honest with themselves. And it's like, I respect the fact that you know what you want, and this and how you want to live your life, and you know that for you, having sex with the same person every day, that just ain't gonna work. Which, real time, listen, if people sat down and said these things and were honest about it, I feel like there would be a lot less hurt out here in the world, and a lot less like anger amongst people in relationships and stuff like that. Because it's like, if you would just tell people up front what it is that you really want, sometimes you may be surprised they may be down for the same shit that you down for, instead of trying to manipulate and trick people into doing things that you want to do. Like in one of my relationships, he had a homeboy who, they technically were ethically non-monogamous but claimed to be polyamory. And now, with the distinction of how you just said that they were ethically non-monogamous. Well, he wanted to follow up behind his homeboy, and he thought he was gonna be able to do what his homeboy was doing. And I was like, let me go and tell you right now, motherfucker, that ain't what this is gonna be. You know what I'm saying? If we ever was to decide to do like a threesome or whatever the case may be, or this, that, or another, baby, this ain't finna be no regular situation. This may be a I'm gonna give you a birthday gift type motherfucking shit. And I'm at the point now, I'm like, I don't ask me because I'm not gonna do it. That just ain't gonna be me. But he waited until we were like several years into the relationship and all this stuff. It's like, where this shit came from? You've been wanting to do this, but you waited to now to like
So,
bring it and put it on the table, and then the way that you're trying to do it is real sneaky and conniving.
and a lot of times it is. I was going to ask you a question, but you after you finish your thought, I got the information I needed. Sometimes that is the case. People are being sneaky and conniving, um, and just for conversation's sake. And sometimes we are dynamic and things change, and that's what I mean. Because I grew up seeing it, I saw that it was possible, but also I saw that I liked a whole bunch of different people, and I like people that look different. I'm like, so if I like a rose and I like a sunflower, damn, do I always want to just have a sunflower? Do I always want to just have a rose? I like them both. So I want to smell the sunflower and smell the rose. And so it just made sense to be able to articulate that so I could still get what I know I want. And now I just do the same thing. I'm like, oh, sometimes I only want sunflowers when I go on a different sunflower. I'm like, damn, I really want a rose. I want a whole bunch of roses, and I don't want sunflowers. Man, I want a bouquet of sunflowers and a bouquet of roses right now. And so again, it goes back to being able to be honest with yourself, because the person we lie to the most sometimes is ourselves. So we can be honest with self and say, yo, this is what I really truly, want and value. It's easier to get it from the rest of the world because you're not lying to yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, and I hope that's one of the biggest things that people can take away from this conversation. Because I remember, like at Sexy Outside, we talked for a good long time, and some of this stuff we talked about in that conversation as well, which is why I was so excited to be able to have you on the show. Um, but that's one of the biggest things that now, granted, when I have these conversations, I'm mostly talking to women, because that's normally who approaches me about conversations about having blockages of wanting to try stuff, but they're scared. And it's like my number one question is always, okay, if you tried, then what? Ain't nobody. First off, nobody has to know. You don't have to broadcast it to the world if you're worried about that. And if somebody was to find out, is it gonna stop your money? You, s- like, what is it? What's gonna be the harm if somebody finds out that you having sex a certain way, or you like having multiple partners, or whatever the case is? Like, what is it going to harm? Honestly, like you not. It's not like you a politician or something out here and you finna ruin your whole career. Like ain't nobody really.
So look, just for shits and giggles, we got politicians married to ex strippers, and so we not. Come on now, we got motherfuckers getting
Fair.
arrested, criminal records, have assaulted people. Like I can't even say being a terrible
You
person
right.
or being a sex worker is gonna keep you from getting, elected in
You
this.
right. Look, well, you're right. You're right. You're right. You right about that one. But I mean, but that's my thing. It's like you find if you go try something, you fuck around and you like it. Okay, you like it, or you don't like it, so you don't have to do the shit again. It's like, child, just
Yeah, fuck around and find out is real on both sides. Because when you find there are some people that are afraid to find out that they really like some shit. Some of us are afraid of success because then when you get it, then what?
mm,
If you find out, so because of what I do for a living, I don't think anybody's straight. I think no. Let me rephrase and be more concise. There are people that can be straight. There are people that are straight. So many people are living a constructed lie because they don't want their homeboys to look down on them, but their homeboys are at the glory hole. Their homeboys are at the all male circle jerks. Their homeboys are at the fraudage parties. Their homeboys are like, I ain't gay. And I'm like, well, we both got the same thing. So definitionally, in this moment, what we are doing is, but you don't have to
mm,
identify as. So because of that, I just think it's more fluid than people want to admit. And if the stigma was removed, we wouldn't act like
yes,
this. Case in point, there's a stigma around STIs, but people will still have raw sex without seeing results. So there's a stigma.
true.
We got people like but behind closed doors, when ain't nobody looking, they doing the wildest stuff. Men will say, I would never deal with her. I'm like, well, how's she pregnant? You the only person that she had sex with. Or, I don't deal with this type of woman, but if you go through their phone, they don't have really a standard of beauty because they deal with everybody. So it's just
Mm,
being able to give voice to the truth and not what you're doing when nobody's looking. Because when nobody's looking, that's when, we having sex with this person, that person, it's more women than it is men. So if all the men were monogamous, houseway, just I'm asking if it's more women on the planet, and when I say women, assigned female at birth, than assigned male at birth. How, if monogamy is the norm, what we talking about? The math ain't math.
Listen,
The math,
people need to live in their truth. People need to know, seriously though. People do need to live in their truth about it because and 'cause another thing is, at the end of the day, they gonna talk about you if you do. They gonna talk about you if you don't. So you might as well be happy and do what the fuck you want to do.
that part right there. Um, yeah, that part is definitely the thing about being honest, being true to who you are, not play a game. Um, I have a question for you. I know we're about to wrap, but
Yeah.
when is the next time we can get back on to finish up anything that we you didn't get a chance to ask me?
I could definitely send you some dates. Once I get off here, I had to look at my calendar of what I got planned out for the next couple of shows. But it will
Okay.
probably be within the next, at least within the next month or so. Because I think I have one extra date that I haven't planned out for in the next month or two. So it'll be soon. It'll definitely be soon.
Okay. Well, I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you for coming. Let the people know where they can find you, what you got going on.
Wow. Well, you can find me. So you can find me on Pornhub. Just type naked trumpeter. Ooh. You can find me on Pornhub if you type naked trumpeter. You can find me on OnlyFans. On Black Love is a platform that I'm on frequently, or you can just look up the naked trumpeter. Black on Black Love, you will always see black people, whether they're Afro Latina, they're going to be black. You're going to see black queerness. When I say queerness, man on man, girl on girl, MMFs, MFM, FFFs, MMMs. You're going to see L bodies, all types of pleasures, SSBBW, BBW, super skinny. Every body type is represented. There's no colorism. There's light skinned black people, dark skinned black people. And it's just a platform to see black people loving black people erotically and sensually. So you can find me there. Uh, Instagram, Eli.Daniel.81, X, Naked Trumpeter, Snapchat, Naked Trumpeter, Pornhub, Naked Trumpeter.
Awesome. Now I did make sure to put I think it's your beacon in the description box down below. So all of that stuff should be linked down below. Everybody, if you're watching a replay or if you're watching it live, make sure you follow him. And I once again I appreciate it. And then y'all know y'all can find me if I'm on the platform. You can find me as Irene the Passion Queen. All my stuff is linked down below. Thank everybody for watching and tuning in. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Peace.